In this video, I want to talk about why your ASD spouse validates facts instead of feelings during marital disagreements. Have you ever opened up to your spouse about something that hurt, only to have them respond with corrections instead of comfort? You say, "Oh, that really upsets me." And they say, "Well, that's not what actually happened." And in that moment, it doesn't just feel frustrating, it feels invalidating and even cold. But what if I told you that what looks like emotional neglect is often a completely different system trying to stabilize the situation? So today, we're going to unpack why many autistic spouses default to facts instead of feelings, and how this can actually become a pathway to deeper connection if you know how to work it. So let's talk about the core misunderstanding here. In many neurodiverse marriages, there's a hidden mismatch happening beneath the surface of conflict. One partner, often the neurotypical wife, is seeking emotional resonance. They want to feel understood, seen, and joined in the experience. The other partner, often the ASD husband, is seeking objective clarity. They're trying to understand what's accurate, what's actually happening, and what makes logical sense. So when a disagreement happens, both partners move toward what feels stabilizing to them. For one, stability comes through emotional connection. For the other, stability comes through factual certainty. And here's the problem. Each partner is offering what they find helpful, but missing what the other actually needs. So let's reframe this. This is not coldness, okay? Let's shift the lens for just a moment here. When your ASD spouse focuses on facts during an argument, it's easy to interpret that as dismissive, defensive, or even uncaring. But in the vast majority of cases, that's not what's happening. What's actually happening is this. Your ASD spouse is trying to find solid ground in a moment that feels chaotic. Emotional intensity, especially during conflict, can feel disorganizing, unpredictable, and even overwhelming. So their brain does something very adaptive. It moves toward structure. Facts are stable. Facts are clear. Facts can be analyzed, verified, and organized. So when they say, "That's not exactly what happened," or "You're remembering that wrong," what they're often doing is trying to anchor the conversation in something that feels manageable. Not because your feelings don't matter, but because their system is trying to prevent the entire interaction from becoming unstructured and overwhelming. Now, let's talk about how high cortisol changes everything. This is the next layer that's very critical. When conflict escalates, both partners experience increased stress, often a spike in cortisol. But here's where things diverge. For many neurotypical wives, increased emotional intensity can actually increase the drive for connection. I feel overwhelmed, so I need more reassurance. But for the autistic husband, increased stress does the opposite. It reduces emotional processing capacity and increases reliance on logic and structure. So the more emotional the moment becomes, the more your ASD spouse may retreat into facts. And now you have a perfect storm. One partner is moving towards feelings, the other one is moving away from them and into facts, and both parties feel misunderstood. Now, let's look at what this looks like in real time. We're going to make this very concrete. You, as the NT wife, say, "Well, it really hurt me when you ignored me at the party." And your ASD husband responds, "I didn't ignore you. I talked to you twice. You're exaggerating." From your perspective, that feels like denial. But from his perspective, he's correcting what feels like an inaccurate data point. Because if the data is wrong, then the conclusion, the emotional reaction, also feels misaligned. So he tries to fix the data. But what you needed was for him to join you in the feeling. Now let's look about how to bridge the gap. This is where everything starts to shift. Instead of seeing this as a character flaw, we start seeing it as a system mismatch. And once you see the system, you can work with it. And here's the key. Validation does not require agreement on facts. Let me say that again. Validation does not require agreement on facts. So instead of arguing over what happened, we build a bridge between facts and feelings. So on that note, let's look at some practical tools. Tool number one, separate the lanes. You can literally say, "Can we pause the facts for a second? I need emotional understanding first." This gives your ASD spouse a clear structure. You're not rejecting his needs for accuracy. you're sequencing the conversation. Tool number 2, translate feelings into clear signals. Instead of, you hurt me, try, you know what, when that happened, I felt disconnected and unimportant. This gives more specific, processable information to your ASD spouse. Tool number 3, give a validation script. Many autistic partners want to respond well, but don't know how to in the moment. So give them a usable template. What would really help me right now is if you said something like, I can see why that would feel upsetting to you. That's not artificial. That's teaching his system how to connect. Tool number 4. This is for the autistic partner. Anchor first, then validate. If you're the autistic husband watching this, here's your move. Before correcting the facts, try this sequence. Acknowledge the feeling, then clarify the facts if needed. For example, you say to your NT wife, okay, I can see that really hurt you. Can we also look at what happened so I can understand it better? That small shift changes everything. Now let's look at the big reframe. What if, instead of seeing your spouse as emotionally unavailable, you see him as someone trying, sometimes clumsily, to bring stability into emotional chaos? And what if, instead of seeing your need for emotional validation as too much, it was understood as a legitimate need for connection under stress? This is where neurodiverse marriages start to transform. Not by forcing one partner to become the other, but by building a shared language between two different systems. Now, if this dynamic shows up in your relationship, you're not alone. This is one of the most common and most misunderstood patterns I see in neurodiverse couples. And when you learn how to navigate it, guess what? Conflict stops becoming a dead end and starts becoming a structured pathway to connection. Now, if you want deeper help with this, I've put together resources below in the description and also pinned in the comments section, including coaching and tools designed specifically for neurodiverse marriages. And if this resonated with you, subscribe, because this is exactly what we do here. We take the patterns that feel personal and reveal the systems behind them so you can finally start working with your relationship instead of against it. I'll see you in the next video. Would you like to schedule a paid private coaching session? This will be in the form of a face-to-face Zoom call. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this Calendly link. If you click on that link, it'll open up my calendar. You can pick the available days and times that works for your schedule. You'll get a follow-up email immediately after purchasing a session that will have the Zoom link that coincides with the day and time that you picked. I will get an email too that you scheduled a session, and I will be available on that exact day and time, and we will talk. I look forward to working with you. Hey guys, this is Mark. Some of you may not know that I have a lot of books on Amazon. So if you like my videos, you'll like my books. I have several for ASD spouses, for NT spouses, and for the neurodiverse couple. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this link. Feel free to click on that link and see what's available. I'm sure you'll find something that applies to you. So if you're struggling in your neurodiverse marriage, help is available, one click away.